Hi everyone, welcome back to the basic technology course. We're going to be going over video number 3, Introduction to Agile and JIRA. And I'm Vince. So what is Agile project management? You've heard of the term before, and we're going to tell you more about Agile today. Okay, so Agile project management was created by tech and startup companies who needed a better framework to do work than what was traditionally used for brick and mortar project management. Okay. And the reason for it is, like software moved to a traditional approach, from perpetual license, where people buy a license and they use it for like X amount of years, into software as a service model, which moving to $1 per month for dollar incrementally in a periodic sense. So I'm sure you all notice it. In the olden days, when you want to purchase Microsoft Word or Microsoft products, you have to just buy it. You go to the store, you pay $100 and you get your Microsoft Office. And then every couple of years, maybe they'll come out with a new release, and then you have to get an upgrade, and you have to buy an upgrade, and maybe you use that software work for you for $100, and you can keep using it whenever. But if you want a new version, now you have to pay another $100 to get a newer version, right? So over time, that approach from software companies has changed to more of a SaaS model, right? Um, and what that models is, like instead of releasing, one product, you get a perpetual license for it. That means you can use it anytime you want. You don't have to be locked in. They sell it to you on a monthly basis, but at a cheaper price. So instead of buying, Microsoft Word, Office for like $100, to have it always, they say, okay, how about you pay us $7 a month? And then and it will let you just utilize it on a monthly basis. So when you stop paying, then you stop being able to use any version of it, right? But while you're paying for it, you get all the upgrades and stuff like that, and that way allows them actually to have a more kind of a stage approach and long-term stable approach to developing the software and updating it over time, right? Okay. So Agile was really created to fit the needs of software development, which is different than the needs of building traditional products such as brick and mortar things. There's a different system, and there's a focus more on the project agility. That means that being able to, adjust your incoming changes and difficulties and things like that, and also a focus on like efficiency on a more kind of daily basis. Okay, so what is agile project management, and what are some key differences with a non-agile management? Okay, so yeah, we talked about this a little bit. Software startup centric, great for tech work, not so good for building houses. It's about phased approaches to work rather than total completion of work. So instead of building, like the entire, instead of building like something that takes 5 years to build, let's make build a core product and let's release updates and more functionality over time, right? So it's approach to work, right? It's reality based and handle unknown issues better, right? Because whenever someone has to plan out a project that lasts more than like a couple months, if it's like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you know, uh, the the estimates become less and less accurate, right? And more things tend to happen because reality is often different than what we planned out, right? So Agile is designed to deal with reality based feedback, and it handles things that happen to you, on a project much better, right? It's more responsive. Agile project management also is more detailed in terms of tracking, and this is because traditional projects, they may last years, or 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. The amount of tracking and management isn't as deep as agile, where work is usually tracked for every 8 hour day, right? So whereas bigger projects and the daily projects tend to manage things on like a on weekly basis. Agile manages things on like a daily basis, which is a pretty big shift and increase in resolution, right? Okay. So some examples: Agile versus non-Agile. Traditionally, software may take 3 years or more to develop, and you release a software program. But you also need 3 years of investment before you get an income, and so the approach of work has changed since then, right? In the olden days, it used to be like this. While you're developing your program, you could very well run into unanticipated development issues. and 3 years can easily become 5 years or never. And there's been many projects back in the day before Agile was implemented, where a lot of software and games and stuff like that, they got into development, and 1 year became 2 year, became 3 year, became 5 year, and after a while, it just it couldn't meet the market needs of what it was designed for because it's 5 years late, right? Usually, like in traditional projects, we have, we're focused on hitting the milestones, and we have contingency built in. So in an agile sense, so okay, so an agile software usually release, maybe you release a core software in 1 year, and then you add more functionalities over time. So basically, you get a barely minimum product as soon as possible, and then add things over time, right? So basically, you can phase your approach to work, right? You can, and in doing that, you can start, maybe instead of investing money for 3 years, maybe you invest, and then you start making income after the year one, right? And then you start getting some income and revenues to support additional development, right? Okay, and if you run into issues, you can shift immediately, or and to change address, you address the issues or to change direction. And if a really big issues come along, or if a big some big advantages come along, and you change things to that, you can also do that, right? So so that's why this, you can see how easily how this approach became so much more popular over time with software developers, right? Because they reduce risks by reducing the income necessary to actually release the software. They're able to kind of really react quickly to how the market needs are, and they can design programs and apps that meet the current need, right? As instead of having the need 3 years later down the line, right? So they're more accurate in terms of how they predict the market, right? The next thing is daily tracking of completion and team capacity, right? Agile is really focused on, like, being efficient and being able to complete something to get you closer to the target on a daily basis, right? And because of that focus, there's a high efficiency of work, that's happening here, right? So, what happens is great for the software world, doesn't always work for real life. And here I kind of want to give a demonstration of why, right? If you're doing an agile software, say a phone app, you can have phased delivery of software functions, acceptable. Or maybe you have a basic app, it doesn't do much, it only does that one thing, but doesn't do some other stuff. Okay, you know what? That will come with the next update. Sure, why not, right? You can accept that. If you have season one of a mobile game and season two is coming, sure, why not? You just play of season one, right? Okay. It's great because it reduces your cash investments up front. You can get your idea out there quickly, and you can easily use that. You can test your idea, and if the idea is good, you can use it to raise more money. Or if it's bad, you can use it to stop work and cut your losses. If you run into technical issues, you can work around it. And it gives you daily tracking and a maximized uses of your workforce, right? Which is efficiency is huge when it comes to software development, right? But in a real house, it doesn't necessarily work because, if I deliver a house to you without a kitchen, with a washrooms, you wouldn't be able to accept that, right? And these are and the traditional approach deals usually more with known things, right? So a bank will lend you money so that you can complete your house, and all money is given to you, is committed to this project, right? And your failure to deliver this house on a completed basis is not acceptable, right? You can't just say, I'm going to deliver empty house with no washrooms or kitchen, and it will be phase one. Well, the bank says, sorry, that's unacceptable, right? You couldn't pass your permit and your housing completion certificates, right? So, subject matter relatively well known, and no technical issues compared to software where, maybe somebody expected you to be able to do something and they run into issue and they can't, right? And it took them a long time to figure out. Yeah, house is like, we know how to build it. There's many people who are expert at different segments of it, so that we know whatever issue there is, we have a solution for that, right? It's relatively well known, not much unknowns. Okay. So, to manage the work, you have an on-site manager, right? And like, whereas agile is the workforce might be distributed over, like, different countries and stuff like that, and they can work on things, online. In the real highs, you want an on-site manager to actually look at the work, see the work, and they be able to do and manage the work, like, in real time, right? Okay. So agile project management, some of the key terms. So roles, so the product owner. So the product owner is responsible for setting priorities, approving work. He's the guy who sets a tone for the and sets a scope of work to be done, right? there's a team lead and a scrum master, right? So that is what we consider the project manager, right? The project manager look at the outcomes have to be achieved, and they put together a detailed scope of work, the tasks, the things needed to do, arranges the personnel, and manages the execution of it, right? And deals with any issues that come up. Stakeholders we still have, they're basically the people who will be impacted by the work, right? Either the project owner is one of these stakeholders, but there might also be investors, other companies, things, other departments, things like that, right? Team members, right? So team members are, are the group that, that progress the assigned work, right? The programmers, the developers, the UX, UX, UI designers, the testers, the marketers, things like that, right? Okay. So, so actions, so there are different actions that you do and the different activities that we track on Agile. One of them is tasks. Tasks are like, it's the same everywhere else. It's distinct activities for completion. However, the different thing about the tasks in the Agile project management sense is that typically we try to, organize tasks so that you can do it in a day, so that we try not to make tasks that are so many hours that it takes 2 or 3 days to complete. And if we encounter that, what we do is we break those two. That means the task is too big, and we like to break those tasks into one day. So instead of like, oh, I have to finish the washroom in a day. No, maybe if you can't, you take 3 days to do it. Okay, then here's what we do. You're gonna finish the tiling in one day. You're gonna finish installing the sink in one day, and you're gonna finish installing, the the wash the toilet in another 4 hours, right? So, and the reason we do that is because like every day the object of agility of agile project management is to deliver something at the end of each day, at least. Okay. Uh, uh, another thing is stories. So, stories are objectives that bring business value, right? And typically these are maybe 1 or 2 week of work. So stories, so for example, you know, so stories describe more like business value, right? So if tasks are like, I'm going to install this a sink, I'm going to install this um, toilet, I'm going to install these tiles. Your story would be, I'm going to have complete the washroom so the client can use it, right? So that would be a story, right? And these tasks let you and let you accomplish a story, or the story is kind of like something you pass along together with the task, right? Okay. So there's epics, right? Um, so epics are major objectives, and they usually make up multiple stories. And you typically, have 1 or 2 per quarter every like 3 to 4 months, right? So basically, you know, example of an epic would be, oh, okay, you know, maybe the key auxiliary units to this house is complete. Like the kitchen is both the kitchen and the washroom and the washing machines are all complete. My epics would be like, these auxiliary devices for this house are complete, right? So it may involve different stories and stuff like that, right? It's like a bigger version of, it's a bigger achievement, right? And we'll go for examples of it so it'll be clear later on, right? Okay. And we also have a roadmap, right? So roadmaps, instead of having a detailed milestone schedule, roadmaps are what kind of, how we organize tasks and epics and stories, and how do you see how they relate to each issue there, right? Okay. So here's some other things that other terms we're gonna learn. So backlog, right? So a backlog is basically a list of planned tasks and stories, right? And the things you haven't, it's called backlog, is because it's things that's not complete, right? And a scrum is another work for the work team. Okay, it's a very it is an agile term, right? A scrum is it's an agile term. I think it comes from football, where you have a rugby. I mean, where you have a rugby scrum, right? Okay, everybody kind of get together for chat. Okay, the sprints. So sprints are basically how we organize work, right? So agile work is organized in sprints that are 1 to 2 weeks long, and basically for each sprint we have a sprint goal, we have these tasks and stories on to complete, and then we evaluate how we did our work and make any adjustments and performance and stuff like that, on a weekly basis, right? So we know what's going on. Okay. Remember what we said that agile focuses on delivering things on a day-to-day basis. So every morning on a typical agile project there'll be a project stand-up. They call it a stand-up because They don't want people to sit down because they'll get too comfortable if they're sitting down in a meeting. So stand up is literally that. Is basically it's a short 10 minute, you know, you know, period of times, every morning. So you just have a quick discussion around the table of what's going on, whether anybody's run into issues and things like that, and everything is happening as expected, right? Okay. So, and the board is where we keep track of all the activities that are taking place. So the whole team can look at something simple like a board, and the board can be a real board or it can be, virtual like in Jira, right? So people can see what's going on, who's working on what, who's run into issues. Maybe maybe I have maybe what something they're doing going to affect me, so they can. So every day on a daily basis, we can see the board and see what's happening, right? And it shows the completion of what's done and what's not. Okay. Okay. We went through that already. Okay, so we're going to do a setup demonstration together. I'm going to take a quick pause and actually switch the screen over to a different mode. Okay, so I have adjusted my screen here, so hopefully everybody can see everything all right still. What I've done is I've just put the presentation in the corner here, and I've put open another browser screen so I can open up Jira and show you what's happening. Okay. So yeah, so the first thing let's set up open up a free account in Jira. So you can just go to www.jira. Oh, actually you don't have to do it. You just got to type Jira login, right? And well, okay, all these are kind of fake, but you have to make sure you go to atlassian.com, right? Let's see here, Jira. Let's do Jira new account. So there you go. Okay, you have to make sure you click on the right thing right here. Here's what you call a lot of you know, um, kind of scammy advertising because you can see, like here's Atlassian. Atlassian is a company that makes Jira, right? But you can see it's a sponsor listing that comes up top in your searches, and Monday is also a separate, a different, another project management system, right? And they have theirs. They buy this base here to just show you, oh, Monday. And if you're not careful, or you don't know what you're doing, you can easily click on the Monday one and thinking it's Jira, except it's not, right? So yeah, you can click on the Atlassian. Make sure Atlassian.com is Jira free, so you can click on there and Jira software, right? And so you can go ahead and press next. You don't need to select any Confluence or Jira management. You can just go ahead and press next. So all we want to do is set up a free account, right? So yeah, so you can just go ahead and you can put an email there. You can continue and they'll let you get into create a free account, right? You don't need a credit card, so that's good. So yeah, I'll just you can just follow through the process and do it yourself because this part is relatively easy. Okay, so after you set one up, right, you'll come to a screen that's similar to this, and you want to click on New Project, right? And once you click a new project, it'll say, okay, here's a whole bunch of these different projects. What do you want to choose, right? So you want to choose software management project. Okay, you want to create a Scrum. Okay, so progress it. So you want to create a new software development project. You want to get a Scrum project, and you want to you want and you look at the Scrum. Let me move this over. Okay. So if you read through it, the Scrum template helps teams work together by breaking down large, complex projects into bite-sized pieces, right? And you can plan your upcoming work in a backlog. You can organize your cycles of work into sprints. And on the right side, it gives you these, it shows you using Jira software. You have your epic, stories, bug tasks, and subtasks. Talks about sprints, and you can feel free to check out and click on some of these links if you want to, see how Jira describes the details of how things work. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and we selected a project type which is Scrum, software development Scrum, and then we're gonna go use template. Okay. So next thing it's gonna show you is it's going to say, hey, choose a project type. Do you want team managed or company managed, right? So you can see that the easiest way to get it set up is to just go team managed, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So now it sends me to this page. It says add project details. So here is what I'm going to do. If you say here, okay, create a new some project, manage called class. Let's call it class curriculum and set the access to private and create a project, right? So let's call this class curriculum. Okay, there you go. As you see, created you know, automatically created a little key for me. So let's set it private. And for now, we're just going to create this. We don't need to click on repository documents and more. Let's just go ahead and create this project. Okay, so go ahead and churn. Let me, there we go. So we want to start. So in this screen here, you see, you see all these tabs, and now the moment after you create it, they put us on the board, right? So what you want to do is you want to click on the roadmap. So the roadmap is usually where you start, and you start to think about what you got to do, right? So let's think about what we need to do here. So there we go. So here we have the sprint. We go to road tab, and here's an epic, right? So see, you know it's epic because you click on the little purple icon. It says epic. Okay. So we're gonna do a little demonstration together. So we're gonna set plan a birthday party, right? Okay. So we're gonna type on here and go ahead and say plan a birthday party. Okay. Oops. What happened? Oh, we didn't press enter. Make sure you press enter. There you go. Okay. Okay, so now we set a birthday. So right now you can see it tells me it's February the 1st, right? So so I go ahead and press stick this here, and I could put this anywhere. So I can put a term there. You can change it later, but we'll just put something like that for now. Okay, and now if I mouse over the epic there, the little plus icon says, and the plus says create child issue. So I'm gonna click on that. Okay, so these allow you. So if I mouse over here, it says story, right? So if I click on it, I can click on tasks, right? And you can change the different, story, bug, task, right? Those are the three, right? Oops. Yeah. So if you don't press enter, it won't keep it. So here's the task, right? Okay. So I'm gonna go back to the screen here. Just progress to the next one. Okay. So here's the task that we want to put in, right? Okay. So I'm gonna click on here. I'm gonna say buy food, snacks, pastries, finger food. I'm going to press enter. You see? So I created this task and then it gave me another task underneath it, right? Okay, and next I want to say buy drinks. Okay, great. And then I get back to say, and you see, I automatically assign numbers to these new tasks I got put in, right? Now I want to buy paper plates and plastic forks. Okay, and I want to book a party room. Okay, and I want to call friends and confirm attendance. There we go. So now you can see I've made an epic, and I've got five tasks underneath it, okay? So, and if I look at my thing, I think that's all I had there. Let me just move the screen up a little bit so you can see. All right, and I can, once again, I can for each of these, I can put in a little, oh no, I can't, not here at least. Okay, so, all right. So next instruction, let's go to the backlog. The backlog is right here in the roadmap. Okay. So if you look at my backlog, so this is my backlog. So this one shows CC sprint 1. So this is the sprint, We haven't done anything yet. We haven't set up a sprint. So that's why you see this empty, right? So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to move these tasks into the sprint. Okay, so we're gonna click on one of these. Okay, so you see the screen change, and when I click on it, here it opens up and it gave me more detail, right? So I can attach things to it. I can type in here. I can say hello. Oh, there we go. As I can say, wait, let me close this help thing that just came up. Right. And type by. You can maybe maybe that's a good. So let's say by the sign is that you can have like muffins, uh, birthday cake, um, chicken fingers. So you can have a list or a more detailed description, right? Uh, you know, and then yeah, okay. So let's save this. Okay, and then you can also attach drawings or pictures or whatever from your thing. Okay, all right. And assign, I can click if I click on that, I can click it to myself. I'm gonna do it. Okay, and and yeah, okay. So I think that's all I'm gonna put there for now. Okay, these things all have a purpose. I can show. I'm going to show you a little bit later time. Okay, so now you see I've got it right. I've got me on there, and I've got this setting updated. So I'm gonna include this into sprint, right? So I can just click and drag it, and when I let go, it ends up in the sprint, right? Okay, so that's what you see, right? So now, but if you think I want to set all these up as well, right? I want to put my name in them, at the very least, right? So okay, so I'm gonna click on this once. I'm gonna hold down my shift key. Now I'm using PC, right? On Mac, it might be a different key. So whatever equivalent is the Mac equivalent of a shift key, I guess. So I'm gonna hold the shift key. I'm gonna push it down. So you see all these things are highlighted now, right? Okay. And I'm gonna right click on this. Let's see. And then I'm gonna say, oh, I'm gonna click on this guy here. I guess there's a way to do all of these together. Let's see if I got it. Change parent, view initial search, move to. Yeah, okay. So, anyways, so I've set all of these ones, and I'm going to say move to CC Sprint 1. And this is CC Sprint 1, as you can see, right? So, there you go. I go, and then move all of them up into the sprint. Yeah? Okay. So, let's assign this to me. Assign this to me. And if you have the teammates, maybe you assign it to them. Okay, so there it is. Now everything's in a sprint, right? So when I click on this dot dot dot, okay, we're gonna go edit sprint. Okay, so here's sprint 1, right? And the duration, we're gonna choose like 1 week, right? Okay, and start date, we're gonna choose today. Oh, that's the time. Let's click on here so we get the date. So we're gonna start today. And usually for sprint, we go for this we go for a week of sprint. Each sprints go for a week. You organize each sprint for every week, right? So in this instance, I'm just using this as a demonstration, right? So we're gonna put that as 1 week. Okay, let's update it, right? In the sprint go, we should type in we want to plan a birthday party, right? Okay, so let's go update that. So now the dates update. You can see that I updated the dates there. They put a plan a birthday party. It shows it that. So I can say start the sprint. Bam. It says, okay, 5 issues have been included in the sprint. Sprint name is this. The duration, let's put again 1 week. And, the start date is that. The end date is the 8th, And then we're going to say, it says that planned birthday party. So let's go ahead and press start here. So bam. So, so if you look at the backlog here, these items are shown in the sprint now, and it has a to-do. If you look in the roadmap, you click on this one here. You can see all these child issues, right? And the dates that you have signed it now is, you can see it's all going to happen this week, right? Okay. And if you click on the board, you can see it's created a different board. It says to do, in progress, and done, right? Okay. So, like, so during okay, let me go back to this PowerPoint here to show you. Yeah. So we started the sprint, set it to a week. We start today. Sprints are normally 1 to 2 weeks. We type in the sprint goal. So now go to the board. We enter the board. So the board shows all the work in this sprint, right? And it's an easy view of how everything is going. All the team members can see the same board, along with any issues that have arose. So throughout the week, right? If you have more people, more than one person working on it, each person can work on their sprint that's assigned to them. They can move it back here. They can add comments. They can, ask questions, attach more stuff to it. And eventually, like if they start, so to do is basically no one's working on it. So if you're working on it, you take this thing and you drag it over here. Okay, there. Now you're in progress. Now you're working on this one thing, right? And you dragged it here in the beginning of the morning. You worked at the end of the day. You can go ahead and click on this dot 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 here if you want. you know Let me tell you what these are for. This might be a good time to address it. So story points, right? So when we plan work, right, I mean, we always try to put in a little bit of estimate of how long it's going to take, right? Now story points, and a good way to do that, normally maybe we'll set something like, okay, story points, you treat them like hours, right? Maybe one day has 8 hours. So if, in a day there's 8 hours, I say, oh, okay, I have to go buy some food, right? I might put 2 hours, two story points, right? And each story point I think would be like an hour, right? So and then later on at the time when you finish it, you can track and see how you're doing. You can see how long it took you to finish tasks, whether you estimated 2 hours and they actually get done in 2 hours and stuff like that, right? And then you can also put in your, for example, you can also attach a little, time tracking, time sheet tracking. So, for example, I can track my time, right? So if I click on there, I can go ahead and say, hey, I want to log my time. you know this is an actual add-on called Tempo, but there are different add-ons that you can use with Jira, but I just put it here for example. So for you, you may not have these ones when you first start out, right? But you can add them. Some of the plugins are free, some of them cost money, but there are free ones. I think Jira also offers a free one. So I say, okay, so I took 2 hours of duration, right? And I log this time. Okay, then it's done. Okay, so here I am. So and it's finished. And it's finished. There you go. It's done. Okay. So for the week, you go ahead and as you start to work on stuff, you move things here, and then after you're done, and then you put in your hours and stuff like that. And after you're done, you go ahead and you slowly move these through, right? And if you look in your the roadmap, you see these flags update, and you can kind of at a quick glance, you can see how you're doing, right? Is it work to do? Is someone working on it? Is it done? Who's working on it? So then you can see that once it's done, these little things are crossed out, right? And you look at your backlog there, it updated automatically. And you can see that, hey, okay, these things are done, and these things are to do. Okay? So let's just say that we've gone ahead and we've completed all this work, right? And say, okay, bam. Okay, now everything's done. It doesn't really, matter whether you drag this on the top or the bottom. It just, it is all treated the same. Okay? So now, okay, say, oh, okay, well, I'm doing pretty good, right? I've completed all my work. Okay, and they've got some AI type of thing that tells you about insights and things like that. You can feel free to explore and look at those. But yeah, so basically, they'll say we've done all the work now, and it's end of the week or it's next week, and everything's done, right? So go ahead and put those things as they complete the sprint. And then this sprint contains 5 moves. All of them are done. Well done, right? Or actually, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna leave one undone. We're gonna leave this at the end to say that we haven't done it. So I'm gonna complete this sprint with one undone. Okay. So here it says, oh, okay, there's still one open issue that's not finished, right? So let's where should I move the open issue? A backlog or a new sprint? So let's move it back into the backlog. Okay. So we say complete the sprint. Bam. Okay. You look at it. So now it automatically put us back in the backlog. The stuff that's done, it took away because we did those already. We don't need to keep looking at them again. There's still a record of them, right, that you can see in your reporting. But yeah, so in the backlog now you can focus on the ones that isn't done, and then you can go ahead and start it at the next sprint, or you can create another sprint, right? Sprint number two, right? And yeah, and populate the dates and things like that. So you can go ahead and that's how you manage your work, right? Okay. So like every day, like I say, on here it says for the week that members track the hours in the sprint, progress them to do, and all the work is done. And a team will have a stand up every morning to discuss the roadblocks and issues, right? Okay. So yeah, so a week is done. We moved all the work to done. We put all the things in a timesheet. And yeah. And then there's also reporting functions to have you track and see project performance. We'll look at this in another time, right? So So this is an example of how to put in, a new project in a sprint, right? Now, here's what I want you to do for your next student assignment. I want you to put in, basically a new sprints and tasks that cover the next, the rest of this study semester, right? So for the next 7 weeks of work, they're gonna go ahead and fill in, these tasks, right? Okay. So I'll address that in the next video.